Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Toast. And ex-boss Phil Spencer did one of his infamous interviews, and as usual, he's always a treasure trove of information. Well, this time he touched up on their multi-platform plans, and one particular thing that he said here caught a lot of attention online. This really puts into perspective what their stance is, though there is still some significant questions that's yet been revealed to fans, leaving a lot of speculation on the table. So we'll get into all of that today. Then also, Sony's live service plans may have hit yet another speed bump along the way. I mean, who would have guessed? Not me, but we're going to get into all of that as well. First, though, I do want to thank my supporters on Patreon and on YouTube memberships. Thank you just so much for what you do, and you will receive this video through early access. Let's just go get right into things, though, starting off with Rainbow Six Siege. This really has been a shining star in Ubisoft's catalog for the last decade, which honestly is kind of hard to believe. I used to play this game a lot. And in my opinion, it is one of the better multiplayer experiences out there because it offers something a little bit different and unique. Now, to be fair, I can't speak to where it's at today because I haven't played this game in years, but Ubisoft just revealed that they're essentially going to give it the Overwatch 2 treatment. You can see their statement here, which reads, "A new era is on the horizon for Rainbow Six Siege, one that sets the stage for the years to come of tactical and unique gameplay, and we'd like to invite you to be a part of it. Welcome to Siege X." The Rainbow Six team has been working tirelessly to bring to life the biggest transformation in the game's history, and its purpose is to reinforce Rainbow Six Siege's position at the top of tactical first-person shooters by introducing new ways to play, deepened tactical gameplay, refined game feel, and major upgrades all around. Now, they released a small teaser which will give you a snippet of what to expect come March 13th, when they're set to fully reveal Rainbow Six Siege X. So, I mean, hopefully this will be an upgrade that keeps Siege going for yet another decade to come. Now, obviously, the most anticipated game of 2025, though, is GTA 6. I mean, it's coming off a game that sold more than 200 million copies worldwide, as crazy as that may sound. So, yeah. The community is definitely hyped for this one, but unfortunately, the hype is somewhat dampened by Take-Two's console-first philosophy. The PC version will not release day and date with their console counterparts, but according to Corsair Gaming, they believe it's not going to be a long wait for PC gamers. Speaking in a financial report, their financial vice president had this to say about GTA 6. Yeah, GTA 6 is probably the one everyone is talking about, and we'll get a glimpse of that, I think, later on in the year for console. My understanding, now it's going to come out in the fall for console, and then early 2026 for PC. Now, I've seen a lot of people press X for doubt when it comes to this, but I'd like to press circle for hope. I mean, okay, on one side, Rockstar typically takes their time with their PC ports, and that's why there's a lot of people doubting this. Their last big release being Red Dead Redemption 2, released a year after the console version. But things have changed quite a lot since then. PC gaming is a growing, booming business. And because AAA games are just so expensive to make right now, and I can only imagine how much GTA 6 costs, maybe, just maybe, they'll shorten the gap between releases this time. Again, circle for hope, but until Rockstar officially confirms a release date themselves, I would take this with a grain of salt. Now, I feel like in a lot of financial reports, we seem to get a lot of doom and gloom results for modern AAA games. This game sold 1 million copies, but even still, it didn't meet our internal expectations. Now, I think we all know the reason why that tends to happen. Modern AAA game budgets are just absurdly out of control, and there really does need to be better management. That's a big problem in the game industry right now. But this is all the more reason that it's nice when we hear about something that exceeded expectations, and this time it's for Monster Hunter Wilds. In a financial report, Capcom unveiled that Monster Hunter Wilds pre-orders are better than expected. And I mean, just kind of given the expectations for Wilds, I would say the results have to be just super impressive for them to say something like this. I mean, looking from the outside in, I've said multiple times on this channel that Wilds will be one of the best-selling games of 2025. And I wouldn't be shocked at all if it has millions upon millions of players on day one. If not on day one, then surely within its first week, because we saw what happened with Monster Hunter World last generation. This is a massive franchise specifically over in Japan, but Worlds, that was a breakout moment for the series in terms of worldwide recognition. And I think we're going to see that show up in a big way come later this month when Wilds finally releases. Okay, so let's go talk about Xbox and this new interview between Phil Spencer and Xbox Era. Now, they have an entire video on this, and I'll go ahead and drop that in the description below. But there were two things in particular that Phil Spencer said that caught a lot of attention online. Fans are still trying to wrap their brain around this multi-platform plan of theirs, all while they still, have their own platform as well. It's something that we've never really seen before from a console manufacturer. And one thing that fans noticed about their last Direct is that they didn't hide the fact that a lot of those games are going to launch on PlayStation day and date. That's a telling reveal in a sense that console manufacturers are known to hide that information at their showcases. So Phil mentioned that change of mentality in his interview. He basically said that they want to be transparent about where their games are shipping, which I agree with. As a consumer, I've never really been a big fan of console manufacturers hiding that information. I think it's kind of scummy, but it is telling from the perspective that they want gamers to know that they're supporting all platforms. They're going to make that loud and clear even at their very own showcases. It's a little but still nuanced, big change for them that fits in with their new strategy. And he even continued on and said, "It's maybe not what I was going to say on Stand at the time, but yeah, I would love to make all of the money for all of the games that we ship, right? Like, obviously, we make more on our own platform. It's one of the reasons that investing in our own platform is important. But there are people, whether it's their libraries on a PlayStation or Nintendo, whether it's that they like the controller better, they just like the games that are there. And I don't want to then look at that and say, well, there's no way that we should be able to build a business there, find fans of our franchises there. I'm not trying to move them all over to Xbox anymore." And that right there, that last remark, is the comment that everybody is just hyper-focused on. He, as in the Xbox team, is no longer trying to move PlayStation and Nintendo gamers over to Xbox consoles. They have given up in that regard, which, to be fair, I think we already kind of knew. It's been fairly obvious these past 12 months, but even still, it's still kind of bizarre to hear something like this because they've revealed a lot of their multi-platform ideas in almost this roundabout way. But they've also done it in a way that leaves a lot of questions unanswered, most notably about exclusivity. And that's why these topics always seem to blow up the way that they do. It's almost like they have their game community on a string, because by all indication, they're still 100% committed to future consoles. They are working on a new home-like console. Maybe it's going to be PC-like, maybe it won't be. They're also working on a handheld as well, but they still won't confirm specific information that may be important for consumers to get excited into said consoles. That's where I think they need to be a little bit more specific with their answers, and I'm sure we'll eventually get that down the road, but for the time being, we don't know what their exact exclusive plans are. I mean, it's obvious that a lot of their games will head over to other platforms. Some of them may even be day and date, such as Doom: The Dark Ages, as one such example, or The Outer Worlds 2. But does this also include other games going forward, such as Fable, Perfect Dark, Gears E-Day, and games like those? And if they're not going to come day and date to other platforms, well, then are they going to do a timed exclusive strategy with all of those games? Because that seems to be the impression that a lot of people have right now. Even if a game isn't going to launch on PlayStation, it'll eventually head over there at some point. That's what people believe. So, I mean, Phil Spencer talks about transparency in this very interview. But for as transparent as they claim they are, I can also argue that they're incredibly vague about other information that I think is, yes, important for gamers going forward. I don't know, that's just kind of my opinion about the situation, but let me know how you all feel about this in the comments below. Either which way, though, I think he makes it fairly clear that they are committed to this multi-platform strategy, albeit we don't have all of the exact information just yet. Now, we also got an update for Sony's next big live service game being Fairgames. I mean, I say it's their next big live service game, but It's not necessarily so much because I think it's going to be a big hit or anything like that. In fact, it's got an overly negative response from fans thus far, but it is a game that Sony has invested a lot of money into. Much like Concord, Herman Hulst and Jim Ryan was sold on this game being the future of gaming, and so much so that they acquired the studio to lock it down for themselves. Now, I don't know if I have a lot of confidence in their eye for this type of stuff based on what we've seen so far, but we have seen a shift within PlayStation these past 12 or 18 months. They've now shut down nearly 10 different live service games within that stretch of time. And now, allegedly, they've pushed Fairgames from 2025 to 2026. This is according to what Jeff Grubb has heard behind the scenes. And, I mean, in most cases, I would probably say that a delay is a good thing. You all have heard me say this over and over again on the channel. It basically means that they're just taking their time to make an even better product. And I'm sure that applies here to at least some degree. But then, in the back of my mind, there's also that overwhelming amount of evidence that Sony has really struggled with their live service games. So it wouldn't shock me at all to find out that this game just isn't shaping up the way that they hoped it would. I mean, this is all the more reason that Jim Ryan is gone, Herman Hulst has been demoted, and that Sony seems to be shifting their priorities back over to their Japanese branch. The West has just really done a number on Sony these past 5 years, and I mean, if anything, I guess we'll just see what happens with Fairgames, I guess, in 2026. Let's go take a look at the poll of the day, though, where I asked you all, do you now view Xbox as a third-party company? And yeah, the results were quite divisive. I mean, I was reading through the comments, and Training said that this was just a bad question, that they are not now a third-party company, but instead that they have been a third-party publisher for years. And okay, you know, a part of me agrees with you here. They are a third-party company by the very definition. And you can even point to Sony and their PC initiative as third-party as well, as some people did in the comments. But this question isn't necessarily about the definition, but more so it's about perception. And Sony is more so perceived as a first-party company because they prioritize their own consoles first. Whereas Xbox, on the other hand, they have very much de-emphasized their consoles these past 12 months. So there is a big difference between the two in how they even approach PC, let alone their rival consoles. And I think that's why we're seeing such a divide in the results here. And depending on how they eventually answer their future exclusive strategy, as we talked about earlier, well, at that point, we might see another shift in their perception in one direction or the other. For the time being, though, we're very much seeing a divide. Anyways, though, that's going to be it for this episode, but until next time, make sure to subscribe, ring that bell, and peace out.